Welcome to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For, everybody. I'm Lorenzo Fonzant here with Kevin Horde. We are doing a special episode today because we both just returned from Chicago for Star Wars Celebration 2019. So, Kevin?
Yeah, man.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, getting back into the groove of things.
Right. I am still in recovery mode myself.
You had a little bit longer off of work than I did. I took an extended weekend, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, man, fun times.
Yeah. I definitely flew into Chicago here from Orange County on the 10th, left on the 16th. So yeah, I was there the whole 5 days. You were there for Friday, Saturday, right?
Yep, Friday, Saturday. I got in Thursday night, all day Friday, all day Saturday, left Sunday morning. So
yes. Yeah, I think we have a lot to cover. What we're going to do, I think, is talk about the content that was revealed, some of the more major things for sure, and then we'll get into talking about the show itself. I think we're going to have two different discussions here, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
So we're going to just start with the big one, which was Star Wars Episode 9. So just
Star
a
Wars
little
Episode 9 it is.
Little bit of background before we kind of get into the rest of the panels, too. They did a lottery system this year. That is ReedPop, who runs the Star Wars Celebration. You and myself and my friend Greg were able to get into the Episode 9 panel. The only other panel that we really got into, sort of, was the Mandalorian stream. And by we, I mean just myself and Greg.
Okay,
then,
so
yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and bring up one of the faults of this lottery system.
Okay, yeah.
I had badges for Friday and Saturday, right?
Yep.
And somehow I ended up winning Twin Suns, or was it Galaxy Stage?
I think we won Galaxy Stage for Mandalorian.
Yeah, so I also won Galaxy Stage for Mandalorian for a day that I did not even have a badge.
Exactly. So that is why I just want to bring it up for context so that when we talk about these panels, you're going to hear a lot of I saw the stream of, because Episode 9 was the only actual panel that I really made it into in person, that we made it into.
Yep.
That's the context there. We'll get to talking about how the show was run.
Sure.
Afterwards, for sure. But yeah, that definitely is a little bit of context when we start referring about rooms not being in the room, blah, blah, blah. But for...
Yeah, for in the future, I saw the stream of means
we were not
present for the release of the information, but you were not live in the room.
Exactly. Yep.
Gotcha.
Precisely.
All right.
So that said, Star Wars Episode 9, that was Thursday morning, 11 a.m., we show up to the Wintrust Arena. That is the big stage at the McCormick Convention Center in Chicago. Walking in...
Yeah, what time we get there? 7:30?
Oh, we got there so darn early. Yeah, gotten in line. There was definitely McDonald's being handed out, which was awesome. We each got the nice little beanies. So, panel started at 11. We did not know the title yet for Episode 9. Nor did we really know much else, really.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I called it.
Right.
That
you did.
The title would be released at the end of the trailer.
You definitely did.
During the panel.
Yeah, they were very coy during the panel. They didn't say anything about it. I really thought they would announce it either during the panel or before Celebration, but you're right. That said about the panel, real quickly going through some of the information, we had J.J. Abrams was there, Kathleen Kennedy was there. It was being hosted by Stephen Colbert. We had cast members, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, and we had a newcomer, Naomi Aki. Sorry, just want to make sure I was reading that right.
Jonas Suyotomo, who plays Chewbacca now, made his Celebration debut, so congratulations to him.
And then Kelly
him.
Marie Tran was also there. And so was Billy D. Williams showing up.
Billy D. Williams, indeed.
And I think that it was everybody that showed up for the Episode 9 panel, right? I'm not missing anybody now?
Yeah, we're going, let's see, Rey, Finn, Poe, Lando, Chewie, Rose, and
new character Janna.
Janna. Yeah.
Janna, we will figure this out.
We will.
The big pieces of information that came out were J.J. Abrams did mention that some time will have gone by between The Last Jedi and new film, Episode 9.
Did you expect this? Was this a surprise to you?
No, not at all.
Yeah, me neither.
So, but at least that much is known. Also, I'm not sure if it was ever confirmed prior, but JJ did mention that Carrie Fisher will appear in the film using footage from The Force Awakens, unused footage. There had been many rumors about that. Again, there's a possibility that it was mentioned to be confirmed at some point, but it was double confirmed if it already was known. And then the only other really new piece of information before we got into the trailer was that there was going to be a new droid named Dio. And Dio rolled out onto stage with BB-8.
Yeah, and Dio was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at the mechanics of this thing. It's like a single wheel deal. And it's like a single wheel with a little post that comes up out of the axle, and then like the head thing, which is kind of like a cone facing forward. Right. Similar to like Luxo Jr. lamp style face type deal. If you know what I'm talking about there.
From the Pixar logo?
Yep. Yes, sir. But with a wheel on it. And at first I was like, all right, this thing's cool, whatever, until it was stationary. And then it rotated.
Yeah, it can rotate.
It turned
on
one way.
Yeah. Like the whole body itself, the wheel itself can...
The wheel itself moved.
Yes.
And at this point...
That was the first thing I noticed as it was coming out, was its ability to turn, right? So, to turn on a single wheel was very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, if you look close up, I'm assuming it's two halves of a wheel.
Like two treads.
Yeah, two treads that are
happening,
that makes sense. For sure.
But
it was real cool. Definitely a little bit smaller than BB-8. It's really interesting. The spelling that I found, and I do not know if it's official, is that it's D-0. But JJ definitely called it D-O on stage. That's what I remember.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, you got a letter and a number. You know, R2, D-O. Some people say...
But it's not like you say C3P. It's C3PO still. You know?
Yeah, it is... That is a letter.
Letter
there.
O. So I found that really interesting. That it was, as everybody is spelling it, is that it's 0. And I haven't found an official source yet, but this was just on all of the recap sites spelling it that way. Everybody seemed to have picked 0. So.
Yeah, it's probably correct. Otherwise, his name is just Do.
Right. Or Doe.
I'm gonna go with Do.
So let's just get into the trailer because we do have a lot to talk about after this as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we end the panel with the trailer.
We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight.
What'd you like? What'd you not like?
What did I like? So we get a voiceover of Mark Hamill this time, as we did with the Last Jedi trailer. So I kind of expected like a similar feel going on with this, but it definitely changes. You know, by the time we get to the end, it was nice to have Luke doing this voiceover, and presumably he's talking to Rey, right? Because Rey is the person that you see on screen. We do get to see her doing some awesome Jedi stuff. Some Jedi acrobatics, shall we say. You know, it was cool that they introed Lando in this, but I don't think it was necessary as far as the trailer goes. How do you feel about that?
I thought it was fine. I have no problems with it. As a teaser, he's there.
I don't have any problems with it. It's not like I'm thinking like, oh, I wish, you know, Lando shouldn't be here or whatever, but... you know, you only have so much time. Time is real estate as far as the visual media goes, you know, when you're watching a trailer, and to dedicate that 10 or so seconds, 5 or so seconds, whatever it is, to Lando. I don't know necessarily that it needed to be included. Maybe we could have seen some other things.
I kind of like the idea that we kind of see the refolding of him into this universe, right?
Okay.
We haven't seen him since Return of the Jedi.
Right.
He's been missing for 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to remember, too, that these teasers are also trying to... Like, these teasers especially, now that these are kind of like event releases with crowds and stuff like that, it helps in that capacity, but also I think it helps in the idea that, like, say, my father, who's just watching the teaser, who has no idea that Billy D. Williams was walking on stage talking about this, right?
Okay.
I think for those 5 seconds, he will see, and he'll go, oh, shit. Like, that's Billy D. Williams, right? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Like, you have to remember that, like, 5 seconds dedicated to just showing Lando is back
Right.
is going to help with people who are casual fans,
Okay.
right?
Do you want to just hop straight forward to, like, the 2 big things?
Sure.
Number 1 would be Carrie Fisher, right?
Yep.
In the trailer. So I heard rumor that Billy Lord did some stand-in work for her mom
I have not heard that at all,
in the filming of this movie.
so I'm curious about that.
I don't remember where I heard this, to be honest. Couldn't tell you.
I have not heard this at all. I heard,
but it was somewhere at Celebration. I think myself and some other people were talking about it. That must have been where it was. Maybe it was another YouTube video. I'm not really sure. But I did hear that Billy Lord potentially did some stand-in work for Carrie Fisher. I don't know if that's true or not. But
JJ did make it very clear. JJ made it very clear that all Princess Leia, or General Leia, whatever, all Carrie Fisher performances will be Carrie herself.
Okay.
You know, JJ was very clear about that.
Scratch that last comment then.
Yeah.
So specifically what we see is a shot of Leia and Rey in an embrace, right? And Rey is tearing up. So, you know, the rumor is that this could have been footage that was shot not necessarily for anything in particular, but just shot on set, and everything was, you know, backgrounds are changed and things are digitally altered to change the setting of. So, but my point in bringing this up is that it was so well done that it didn't even register with me.
It didn't stand
that
out.
It was not original footage. Yeah. Nope.
Doesn't stand out.
It really
at
is
all.
wonderful.
So that works. And what's your next thing here?
Palpatine, man.
Definitely.
Palpatine is back.
That's his laugh for sure. I personally think it's a ruse.
Okay.
We will see. I could be very wrong. I don't think he's alive. I don't think he's back. I think he will factor into the story.
Okay.
Does that make sense? He will be involved. But for him to be alive undoes the redemption of Anakin Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I definitely did some reading up on the whole Palpatine issue earlier today, and that's kind of the consensus that is, if Palpatine has truly returned, then like you said, it definitely undermines the redemption of Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
So,
and also, there's not going to be a good way about this. And I understand that these are not the same people, but there were so many people that complained that The Force Awakens was essentially a modern remake of A New Hope.
Okay.
And then you get The Last Jedi that comes in, and then you get a whole bunch of people who get all sorts of mad that the story didn't go the way they wanted. You know, like, oh, Luke wouldn't be a grizzled old angry man. I'm like, did you not see all the kids that died? Like, wouldn't you want to go hide in a rock? Like, I don't know. So, like, the idea of the Emperor coming back just is making me concerned that the people that had complaints about The Force Awakens will come back in droves. Right?
That's interesting because to those people, I say fuck you, and I do not care about those people.
Right.
Seeing Palpatine, man, not seeing Palpatine. Well, I mean, we saw Palpatine.
Yes.
Because we were in the room. Ian McDermott did come out, and he put on his Emperor voice, shall we say. It said, play it again, I think.
Roll it again.
Roll it again.
Yep.
So we did get to see him. And you only hear his voice in the trailer. But I'm stoked for the Emperor to return in whatever capacity that happens to be. So, there's... This trailer brings up tons of questions that we can talk about another time. Right. What planet...
Because we saw a broken Death Star, which I'm going to assume is Death Star 2, so it's on planet Endor, moon of Endor, whatever.
Or other moon of Endor, who knows?
Yeah, other moon of Endor itself, I don't know how it goes. But
Palpatine potentially is back in some capacity, and I think we'll leave it at that.
Yes, and then, of course, the other major thing that happened was, like you said, the title... The Rise of Skywalker, revealed right at the end. Yep, revealed right at the end of the trailer.
Yep.
That was the first we knew about it. So there it is.
Good times.
So now we have The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker. So yeah.
Yeah, the.
Yep, the. Each first teaser starts with somebody breathing very heavily, which I think is funny.
I thought that was just me while I was recording. My bad.
Another interesting thing is the episode 1 teaser starts with every generation has a legend, every saga has a beginning. Mm-hmm. This one is every generation has a legend, every saga has an end.
Nice.
So, yes. So it's all big full circle. So other than that,
absolutely
obvious information that we've known before.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 9 will be coming out December 20th, 2019. So we got until then. My expectations is we won't get any more footage until D23 in August. D23 Expo.
I tend to agree with you. I do want to make one correction. You said episode 9, and this is The Rise of Skywalker. That's what comes out December 20th.
All the same. It's all the same. We're not going to go old-fashioned prequels where it's Star Wars, Episode 1 dash The Phantom Menace.
I don't know. It goes back and forth, man. The prequels were definitely like that, but The Force Awakens was like The Force Awakens.
Star Wars dash The Force Awakens.
Right. And The Last Jedi was essentially just The Last Jedi.
Yeah. So the same. Moving on. So that was Friday's panel. We're going to be very quick about Saturday's, only because I'm going to call it out right now. Saturday's panel was a huge fucking disappointment.
Man, that sucks.
It was real bad.
Coming from Disney fan number 1.
So, Saturday's was bringing Star Wars Galaxy's Edge to life at Disney parks.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this was one that did not have a streaming room whatsoever. So you and I showed up real early, tried our best to get into the Wintrust Arena, the celebration stage, to try and see this.
I rented a bike and rode my ass there from my hotel at fucking 6:30 in the morning.
We showed up real early. Again, the panel started at 11. Brought out pretty much the heavyweights of both Disney Imagineering and Lucasfilm Design. So we had like Doug Chang there, Scott Trowbridge from the Disney Imagineering side of things. Beyond that, this one's gonna, like I said, gonna be real quick. The cool thing that we did see was we got full official footage of the Hondo Ohnaka audio animatronic.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool.
That was really cool. It looks really sharp. It looks amazing. It's an A1000 figure, which is Disney Parks' most advanced audio animatronic. There's a lot of articulation that happens in the hands. It's very fast and fluid. So you can always tell when there's an A1000 animatronic versus maybe the lesser Pirates of the Caribbean that are in the peripheries, shall we say.
And Winnie the Pooh is back. Winnie the Pooh himself is back to voice Hondo Ohnaka.
Which is real cool. Jim Cummings back. The only other big quote-unquote surprise, because the description coming into this panel promised, of course there will be more surprises, right?
Surprises plural. by the way.
Yeah. The only thing new that nobody really expected was that they announced the new Coca-Cola bottles that would be sold in Galaxy's Edge. And that they would be Coca-Cola bottles that have Aurebesh on them.
Yeah,
they showed
I'm calling Filoni baloney on this one.
Why?
Because, like, I mean, you and I were standing there together watching this at the Star Wars live stage. Right? Or screens, or whatever the fuck they call it. And the logos pop out, and this was, like, built up, like, oh, this is going to be so cool. And then it was like, let's bring up these two guys. They work for Coca-Cola.
Oh, right.
And it's Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, and Dasani.
Yes.
And, you know, the bottle designs are cool, but they were talking about how they've been, like, working on this partnership for, like, 4 years.
Right. And it's seriously...
I'm pretty sure that I could get this done in, like
a month at most.
Yeah.
Like, the design approvals going back and forth, right?
Now, at first, I was like, oh, that's bullshit. They should just put Aurebesh on it. And you corrected me that, you know, Disney does need to kind of expand that to a more casual fan, right?
Right.
On closer inspection, it is like a combination of Aurebesh and our regular alphabet.
The main logo, I did double check, does appear to be full Aurebesh.
It is, but like the C's, like the
They're
CC
stylized.
of Coca-Cola.
Yes,
yeah.
They're very stylized, but they are 100% legible Aurebesh.
Yeah, I went back
across
and
all
looked at it later.
Yeah, across all 4 bottles. Other than that, like the bottle shapes themselves are orb, spherical shaped, with a different cap on it. So it's supposed to look like a thermal detonator. It's literally just the holiday ornament bottle that comes out every freaking year, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that was you that told me that or if it was somebody else, because that was, I was going to bring it up, but it was not my original idea.
I don't have full confirmation on it, but I know it's not the first time I've seen a bottle of that shape. Like, it could be a different size, whatever. They had to make new molds, whatever. It's
for sure.
It was the most ridiculous announcement, you know? So that was all I got out of the Disney parks. There was nothing else that they mentioned that we had not heard prior.
What about Yoda?
That was...
Did you...
yeah, we didn't know about Yoda, but really that was still a throwaway announcement. They didn't show us anything. They didn't really say in what capacity he would be used. We had heard rumors that Yoda could be in the parks in some capacity before.
Yeah, so Frank Oz is back to do some voice work for Yoda, but nobody knows how, where, when, or why.
Right, like basically. We don't know if he's an animatronic, if he's going to show up as a screen feature on some section of park.
What's your guess?
I got nothing. Like, I don't know where he would fit in here. I'm assuming he might be like an audio animatronic in the queue for one of the 2 rides. Similar to how all of the Harry Potter actors will show up in the Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey queue as well.
Okay.
They show up there. Or if you want to go old school, the way the old E.T. queue every 5 minutes or so. E.T.'s mentor, Botanicus, was an animatronic as well, and he would just show up in the queue and basically kind of lay the foundation of what's going on. So that's my best guess, but again, it was such like a weird throwaway comment that I don't even want to get into it. Like, again, we have so much to freaking cover, and we're about 30 minutes in, so...
Yeah.
So that's all we got in Disney parks. Moving on. Next thing is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. New video game by EA. Real quick, it features a Padawan named Cal Kestis. He is portrayed by Cameron Monaghan. This takes place after Order 66. We had a trailer reveal.
Wasn't always like this. But now, there are 3 rules to survive. Don't stand out.
We also had a promise that it was a story-based, no multiplayer, no microtransaction video game. I don't know if I trust EA still, you know, but this is Respawn that's creating the game, that's developing the game. It's just EA is the studio that will be distributing it.
Right.
But all the same, after the Battlefront 2 debacle last year, I don't fucking trust it. Like I said, there was a trailer reveal. It was a fairly cool trailer. My only problem is we have another hidden Jedi that survives Order 66. So, again, to me, this totally undoes the, like, oh, that boy's our last hope. No, there is another. Well, are you talking about fucking Ahsoka? Kanan? Ezra? This motherfucker? Like, who are you talking about? Right?
Maybe Yoda was talking about the last hope for the Skywalkers.
I don't know.
Until Rey, who is the rise of the Skywalker.
So yeah, that was my only thing about Jedi Fallen Order. It has a release date of November 15th, 2019. It'll be available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I have not seen the trailer for this one yet. So
it's a fun trailer. Yeah, it's definitely a fun trailer.
I've got nothing to add to this conversation.
Okay.
So
yeah, I won't pre-order it. I'll pay attention to reviews, and we'll see how it goes. If it seems like they are able to deliver a full story experience, because again, we have this issue of EA has held the exclusive video game license for Star Wars since Disney bought it, Lucasfilm, back in 2012, right? Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
in that time, since 2012 to 2019, they have released 2 video games. Like, that is ridiculous.
That does not seem like a lot.
Right. You know, like, oh yeah, you got like this badass, awesome, exclusive license, and it's a world in which you can tell so many other stories via video games. You release one multiplayer only game, literally nothing else you can do but multiplayer, nothing in it is canon because it's multiplayer. Oh, we're gonna fix that with the second game. Cool, that sounds great. You even release a trailer starring John Boyega where he complains about how the first game didn't have a story mode. So you deliver a story mode, but guess what? It's a shitty 5-hour story mode. Like, no. I want like a fucking 10, 15, 20-hour video game that I can just sit by myself on the couch and work my way through this fucking story. Meanwhile, EA's sitting back going, oh no, like, people don't like story-based games anymore. Meanwhile, fucking God of War wins Game of the fucking Year. Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out. That's like a fucking 60-hour game. Spider-Man comes out. Another solo adventure where you roam around New York, right? Like, those are the games people get emotionally invested in. I'm not saying, like, there's anything wrong with games like, say, Overwatch or, like, Battlefield 1, right? Like, those are, I play both of those. That's perfectly fine. But for Star Wars, like, let me get in the fucking world of Star Wars here.
You know, for a video game developer to say this certain genre of video games isn't relevant anymore,
right,
is shooting themselves in the foot.
Oh, definitely. So that's why I'm that's the context for which that explains why I'm very cautious about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You know,
yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, and I've seen a couple of stills, and from that, it looks badass. I am not in the current generation of consoles, so it's not necessarily something that I will be able to experience firsthand. But that being said, for those of you out there that's your thing, I think you're going to enjoy it.
Right. Yep. All right, so I'm going to jump around a little bit out of order of announcements here, just to kind of save the best for last, I would say. Let's move forward to Star Wars Clone Wars.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that was a Sunday panel. There was a panel featuring Dave Filoni, Ashley Eckstein, D. Bradley Baker, Sam Witwer. The whole cast is back. The other big news is that CG models have been updated for Season 7.
I feel like that didn't need to be an announcement. I feel like you could have just watched the trailer and
Oh,
I've known that,
Oh, yeah, it was still really cool, though, because if you're in the panel or if you watch the live stream, they basically showed, like, the subtle differences that they still had to consider in terms of technology that was not available, say, 5 years ago, that could help them out.
Okay, I stand
for
corrected.
stuff.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
so
awesome.
they showed old models versus new sort of thing, right? So it was still really interesting to see, especially if you are like a budding filmmaker and you want to do CG animation. That shit can get really complicated really fast, right? One of the other big pieces of information that I thought was really cool is that Ray Park will be returning to performance to do motion capture, performance capture for Darth Maul.
Okay. Did other people do motion capture for other characters?
I'm going to assume that in this case, it will only be Darth Maul versus Ahsoka. So the big thing is that there will be a Ahsoka versus Darth Maul fight. This is an event.
So does Ray Park fight Ashley Eckstein in some green screen studio?
I'm going to assume that he fights somebody that has fighting know-how, right?
I was going to say, otherwise it's going to be a pretty quick fight.
Right. So, again, that's the wonders of motion capture. It does not need to be Ashley Eckstein, right? Because she will still continue to voice the character, but, it will be somebody else's motion. I am so
stoked.
So this is a fight we've known about since the book Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston, right? So, yeah, this was definitely a big thing that got me pumped up. Even as somebody who's not, like, the biggest fan of Clone Wars, I got really, really freaking pumped up for this one.
Where exactly are you from?
I used to live in the upper levels of Coruscant. You're probably better off down here. With the Jedi running around, starting wars.
It makes me sad for you to say that you're not the biggest fan of the Clone Wars, because that is the main portion of the show that we do together.
I know.
And we're a full 60-something episodes into that one.
But, I mean, the problem is... The reason I can't claim that I'm a huge fan of the Clone Wars is... How do I put this? Other shows say, like shows I would consider my favorite shows. Hannibal, Game of Thrones, Parks and Rec, right?
And Star Wars Resistance, and Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Dear God, no. The difference is that Parks and Rec and Hannibal hooked me right from the beginning, right? I'm not saying those first seasons are perfect. I'm not saying the pilots are perfect. Parks and Rec especially is a show that in its second season gets much better. But its first season is like 6 or 12 episodes, right?
Okay, not 22.
Right, whereas with Clone Wars, that whole first season to me is a slog, right? And even the second season has issues. Right, so then I never want to claim that Clone Wars is anywhere among my favorite series on television. Mainly because it isn't. I have so many complaints about it. There are many episodes I downright hate, right? So while I like where it got to, I can't sit back and go, oh yeah, like the whole show is my favorite overall.
Let's move past recapping your feelings about the Clone Wars.
Right. Other information really quick.
What we get to expect from Season 7.
Really quick, other information that was definitely released was Ahsoka will go to level 1313 on Coruscant after she leaves the Jedi Order. She will meet new characters Trace and Rafa Martez. It was confirmed that Season 7 will be 12 episodes exclusive to Disney Plus coming out on November 12th, 2019. We don't know if it will debut with Disney Plus. We just know that it will be on Disney Plus. So it will be sometime on November 12th or sometime after.
Right. That makes sense.
So yeah, we know there will be an arc featuring the Siege of Mandalore. That is basically how the show will conclude. Okay. We know there will be a story featuring the Bad Batch / Clone Force 99. And there will be that arc of Ahsoka down to level 1313.
So you're saying that Siege of Mandalore will be the final arc of the series?
That's what Sam Witwer seemed to allude towards.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but Sam Witwer himself was kind of saying that the show will conclude with the Siege of Mandalore, and this is set to be the final season of Clone Wars. Like, this is it.
I read that, and that kind of made me sad.
Yeah, so this is it. 12 episodes. This will wrap it up. But, I mean, we, in that room, got to see a clip of the Bad Batch, featuring the Bad Batch.
Okay.
And I do want to bring up that 4 years ago in Anaheim, they did a Clone Wars retrospective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this was when the show had been canceled, but there was no indication that it would be coming back at all. Remember, we only knew it was coming back last year.
Right.
They probably only knew for a year at most before that.
Right.
Right? So this is 2015 in Anaheim. The Netflix Lost Missions had been released already.
Mm-hmm.
And that essentially was what they had finished of the 6th season before it got canceled, right? So there were other episodes that were already in production. One of them was this Clone Force 99 arc.
Okay.
We saw early animatics of that scene.
So did it match what was released at Star Wars Celebration Chicago?
Pretty much.
Was it close?
Yeah. Oh,
That's
no,
cool.
it's pretty spot on. So again, it was animatics, so like there wasn't a lot of motion, there wasn't a lot of movement or anything like that. There were just like CG, like still CG models just moving across the screen sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Staging.
But, yeah, staging, like no lighting or whatever, just rhythm and pacing.
Mm-hmm.
And based on my memory of it, I remember I sat in the Wintrust Arena and I go, oh, that's right, this is very familiar, like I remember this.
That's cool.
So it's really cool, yeah, indeed, that they now get to realize the last half of what would have likely been season 6 and close down the entire series, right?
So season 7 is essentially the second half of season 6. Is that what I'm gathering?
That's what
Even
I'm figuring out. Yeah, I mean, there's no official word that like, oh yeah, these are the arcs that we had written, blah blah blah. I'm sure they took a lot of the scripts that probably or were already written or developed, finished them up. Like, I think they still probably went through the whole process, right?
I'm just wondering because there's a visual time jump from season 6 to season 7, just because of the design of the character models. Like Anakin's hair is longer,
right.
Ahsoka herself looks older, and then they pull that fucking Iron Man 2 thing where this is when Rhodey says, "This is me, get over it," and it's Don Cheadle instead of...
Take another look at the trailer instead of Terrence Howard. Take another look at the trailer.
Yep.
You will notice that there are different Ahsoka models. We're going to have time jumps within this
in
season.
the trailer?
We're going to have time jumps in this season, I think.
Okay. I will do
You're
that.
going to notice Ahsoka looks like the snips that we know throughout all of Clone Wars when she's in the Jedi Order.
And then closer to
Ahsoka book.
Rebels.
Yeah, closer to Ahsoka Rebels. You'll notice that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, like her Leku are just slightly longer. Not super long.
Montrails, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's... Take another look. Especially the shots of her riding the speeder bike through Coruscant.
Okay.
And then especially versus the shot of her meeting back up with Rex.
Okay.
And fighting Darth Maul.
I will do that. Let's push forward to Star Wars
Indeed.
Resistance.
Indeed.
Okay.
So the panel this was on Monday. We had a Star Wars Resistance sneak peek season 2. It was confirmed that season 2 will take place immediately following the season 1 finale. So they jumped into hyperspace. The whole Colossus lifted up. This will take place right away.
Okay, I have 2 comments real quick.
Yes.
1, I expected season 2 to take place immediately after season 1, and 2, I feel like Star Wars Resistance is a contemporary enough thing that they shouldn't have waited until Monday for it, mainly because I didn't have tickets for Sunday or Monday, so I missed the Clone Wars, and I missed the Resistance. I wish that we would have seen those, Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon.
I don't disagree. I also just wish... Yeah, we'll have to talk about scheduling. I don't mind that it was on Monday. I mean, I just think it's weird that there was a Monday in general.
I mean, something's got to be, if you're going to be open on Monday, something's got to be there. You got to have a Monday anchor, and I guess
why not Resistance? Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, feasibly, Monday's morning anchor was the 20th anniversary of the Phantom Menace.
Right, we're not even... But, there was nothing there. We're not going to talk about that at all.
Sure. We talked about it. We're moving on.
That said, there was no confirmation if Season 2 will overlap with the events of The Last Jedi.
I don't...
Again, I don't...
Was that specifically stated, or is that just... Like, it
somebody
wasn't
asked,
said?
The host, David Collins, asked, will it overlap with Last Jedi? Nobody said a thing.
So...
There's neither confirmation nor denial.
I mean...
But again, because Last Jedi takes place, like, immediately after Force Awakens, you and I have talked about this, we've speculated, right? I don't know how much of Last Jedi could potentially affect what happens in Resistance. I'm assuming maybe Season 2 will end with them getting the call from Leia from Crate, right?
Okay, that would be kind of cool.
That's my prediction right now, unsolicited, whatever. But again, there's no confirmation. I'm not saying that it will or will not. That's what they didn't say, it will or will not. They're just like, oh, we're not going to answer that.
I mean, it's got to overlap with The Last Jedi.
I'm just
not
saying.
Necessarily like
I'm
the
just
entire
saying.
Thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there was no confirmation. This was what was said at the panel, right?
Yeah.
So what was said at the panel was no confirmation. Immediately following the panel, Season 2 premiere was screened in its entirety. So we can have a separate discussion on that. I will say I've now seen the Season 2 premiere.
Let's just skip that for now. We'll come back to it. Come back into that one later.
So the big thing that was on Sunday, jumping back a day, was The Mandalorian. This, I feel like, was the show that we knew the least about, and it was pretty fucking awesome. This panel I was sitting in the streaming room for got me just as pumped as Episode 9 panel. We had Kathleen Kennedy coming out. She introduced Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They basically hosted the panel together. They introduced Pedro Pascal, who plays the Mandalorian, Gina Carano, who plays Cara Dune, and Carl Weathers, who plays Greef Karga. Basically, those character names were announced with... I had never heard them before. I didn't even know Carl Weathers was freaking in it. I had heard other casting news. I know Werner Herzog was in it. That was really cool. He did not show up, though, and I think it would have been hilarious if he did. What we do know is that this will premiere with Disney Plus. That releases on November 12th of 2019.
Tell me if this was covered in the panel, or tell me if this is just something that I heard randomly from who knows where, and it may or may not be true. It is premiering with the premiere of Disney Plus, but not all episodes of season 1 are being...
As far as we know right now, it's just it will be a weekly series.
Awesome.
Yep. So I'm down for that. Yep.
I think this takes a little bit of balls for a streaming service to say, nope, we're going to release like on a regular schedule. Like, it'll come out, you can watch it at your leisure after that. But, like Netflix and Hulu, like their original content comes out in a dump, and you get the entire series.
Not Hulu, though. Hulu, Handmaid's Tale is still weekly, which is interesting to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it just depends on these series. It depends on what they want. Even certain Netflix shows are now doing a weekly release, depending on the show. But again, these are going to be shows that are more time-sensitive anyways.
Okay.
Their late-night shows. Hassan Minhaj, his show, because he's talking about the news. That has to be weekly, right? But yeah, so this was not something covered explicitly by the panel, but I have heard that as well, that it will be a weekly release.
Cool.
Again, that's just rumors that I have heard, nothing confirmed. Getting into Mandalorian, there was footage played during the panel and not for the live stream for this one. This one definitely by far has the most exclusive shit for Celebration audience.
Which is fucking crazy.
I was flipping out. And I'm so glad I went to the streaming room. And I'm kind of glad they did because everything else is being streamed. So it really was nice to know that there was something that made it worth it for me to actually get to Chicago rather than being able to just stay at home, take 5 days off, and just watch everything.
Yeah, it's fully exclusive.
Right.
Did you happen to be able to track down any of that fully exclusive Star Wars Celebration Chicago footage?
I have seen it around, and they immediately pretty much disappear. Right. I think there's one or two still floating around. I didn't, take footage myself. There was definitely heavy security walking around. Also, for me personally, I was definitely just enjoying the moment of that footage because it was awesome. We can definitely talk about this footage a little bit more because was exclusive. So the first thing we got was pretty early on in the panel. We got a behind-the-scenes production reel that lasts about 3 minutes or so. And yeah, so we got a good look at the Mandalorian. We do not know the name of the Mandalorian. All we know is that it is the Mandalorian. That is all they kept referring to Pedro Pascal's character as. It's like the Mandalorian. I'm playing the Mandalorian. Yeah, like we hired him for the Mandalorian, right?
The Mandalorian's name is Pedro.
The Mandalorian.
Pedro.
Right. So we got a good 3.5 minute clip reel of that, which is great. We saw the various directors that will be directing each episode, and I did not annotate this, but the ones I definitely remember were Dave Filoni will be directing one. We got Bryce Dallas Howard will be directing an episode, and Taika Waititi will be directing an episode.
Okay.
And I cannot remember the other three, and I feel really bad now that I didn't take that note down. But it sounds like there's only potentially 6 episodes.
Interesting.
Again, that was not information that was covered, but they took a picture of all the directors, and there was only 6 of them. I remember the number 6.
I had heard that Dave Filoni was potentially directing the first and second episode. So in that case, I'm going to step out on a ledge here and say potentially all of the directors could have done 2.
That is possible.
In which case it would be like a 12-episode season.
Yeah, that is definitely possible.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let's say we'll have at least 6, right? So, looking up now, we have Deborah Chow, who directed episodes of Jessica Jones. Rick Famuyiwa.
It's so interesting that you're struggling with the name.
Right, from Dope. Bryce Dallas Howard, Taika Waititi. Yep, those are the only names that are listed. So,
didn't Taika Waititi? Did he say that he had directed, or he wanted to, or something? I feel like I had heard his name associated with Mandalorian.
Well, he is directing.
Mandalorian.
I mean,
yeah, but I feel like I had heard his name associated with the Mandalorian before Celebration.
We definitely knew he was associated with the show before that. Taika Waititi was not news. Is that what you're asking?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no, we knew about that because the other thing we know is that he is voicing IG-11. So.
Piss off, Goose.
So the other footage that we saw was we got an extended scene of the Mandalorian meeting with Grief Karga. That is Carl Weathers' character. Basically, I'm going to start explaining the clip here. No major spoilers, at least from my vantage point of the clip that we saw. It was a pretty darn long clip, too.
I don't think we would know if there were spoilers in it, if there are spoilers in it, to be honest.
So we get the Mandalorian meeting Grief Karga. He's asking Grief for another bounty job, I guess. Grief presents him with a bunch of those bounty chips, right? And the Mandalorian's like, oh, these bounties are too small. I need something substantial. Grief leans in and says, hey, look, like I got another one, but it's not on a chip. It's more underground than that. And Mandalorian's like, sure, whatever. Shows up in a different room. A couple of stormtroopers are standing there. We get in a Mexican standoff situation. 4 stormtroopers are holding guns against the Mandalorian. Then we get unnamed still as of now, but Werner Herzog's character is sitting at a desk. And it seems like he's ex-Imperial of some sort. Oh, that was the other thing that was mentioned. This show does take place sometime after Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if this was something they said in the panel, but it sounded like something like in the 5-year range.
Okay.
Post-Jedi.
I have 2 questions real quick.
Yes.
What was the thing? What was the thing you said? A bounty hunter chip?
Right.
You were like,
the
yeah,
cards
right.
or whatever.
Bounty hunter chip? Like what? Like data card? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's not the data cards because
Like-
we've seen them before in other things. They're little chips that if you're trying to figure out what bounty you want, the bounties are placed on little hollow chips, right?
Where have we seen these? This seems new to me.
I thought we had
You're
seen
just
them.
like you're just like, yeah, like it's this bounty hunter chip, right? And I'm like,
I thought we had seen them in Clone Wars, honestly.
Man,
I thought we had. I
got nothing.
Because I thought we had seen Cad Bane carrying a bunch of them.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and look on that. Second question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are these Imperial stormtroopers, or how does that work out? What's your opinion on that?
So that is my question. That's why I think the guy is ex-Imperial, but so yes, there are still vestiges of the Imperial network around, right?
Is it Griff?
Like, it hasn't died yet. Like, the whole system hasn't gone down yet.
Okay.
So Werner Herzog with his fucking German accent is basically laying down the bounty that he is trying to get.
Okay.
Again, not on a bounty chip. He's like, again, this is underground. We can't put it on a bounty chip. It's very special. We know nothing about this shit. Right? Then we get a nice clip package, sort of trailer, essentially, that follows with Mandalorian, and we get to see Cara Dune in action. We get to see a lot more of Grief. We get to see many other characters show up. We get a shot of IG-11 doing his thing, which is fucking awesome. So, yeah, that was the footage that has not quite seen the light of day outside of Celebration. Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw the semi-trailer, but not the footage that you are speaking of.
Not the extended footage, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
'cause you started, I thought I had watched it, and then you started talking about it, and I was like, this is all new.
yeah,
I got an idea.
I will say the style of this show is sharp. Like, the cinematography for the footage that I saw, I will say is up there with cinematography from any goddamn movie, right? Like, it looked as good as The Last Jedi. And I think cinematography in The Last Jedi is among the strongest of the entire Star Wars series.
It's very good.
And this is up there. As soon as the panel was over, I, of course, was texting everybody, assuming at least the trailer got out, but apparently everybody was like, no, it's not out, man. I can't find it. And then, of course, the next question is, how is it? I am going to make the comparison that I don't know if I told you this. I know I was like texting like 4 or 5 people at the same time. But I think this is essentially right out of the gate for Disney Plus. This could be their Game of Thrones, right?
Okay.
Now, that is not to say that it will be a big cultural phenomenon the way Game of Thrones is. Game of Thrones is on par with Star Wars overall, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to HBO as a channel having a Hallmark series,
I understand what you're saying.
right? Like, this seems to have the same value and same excitement level and care.
This is something that could anchor Disney Plus into the pocketbooks of people willing to pay $6.99 a month.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Yeah. Like this.
As Dexter did with HBO.
Right.
And
Dexter was Showtime.
Showtime.
Yeah.
My bad.
But yeah, so like, yeah, Sopranos in the late 90s for HBO.
Right.
Walking Dead for AMC. Right. Mad Men for AMC back in, 10 years ago.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, Breaking Bad and Mad Men were 2007, 2008, right about there.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question about The Mandalorian.
Yep.
How long are the episodes?
That I don't know. I'm gonna assume they're about the hour mark.
They didn't say whether it was like half hour or hour.
No, it's gonna be longer than half hour. That's for sure. I think this will be
probably
closer to that hour mark. And that's there are no ads or anything. So
right, but you're talking about generally an hour's worth of programming, right, which could be 52 to 52 minutes.
50 minutes to 65. I don't know, somewhere in that range. That's speculation. That's a guess. There's no confirmation either way. You know, they could be 10 minutes. Who the fuck knows?
I do have one other comment. I'm pretty sure even at the Star Wars live stage, all the shit was blacked out.
I think at the Star Wars show stage, I think it got blacked out. The streaming rooms got the footage.
Yeah, because you were in the streaming room, right?
I was in the streaming room. And this is a good transition into, I think that's any other content that was announced. I definitely attended panels on voice acting and the books and the comics, Marvel Comics, right? Mm-hmm. And just a quick note on each of those. Those were really fun. Those were super valuable. You know, I was in the room with Timothy Zahn, Claudia Gray, Delilah Dawson, right?
Yep.
That was freaking awesome. And those were great. It just, the reason there was so much else to talk about that we just needed to get to the big things here.
This is why they had 3 big stages and other smaller venues,
smaller conference rooms for sure set up.
For, I don't know, 4 to 5 to 6 different panels a day.
Right.
So, to be able to talk about all of it would, you know, in a concise time period would be
we're taking
unrealistic.
5 days and trying to smash it down here.
Right. So, you know, you're talking 20, 30, 40 different panels that we could talk about. And we're just, you know, kind of hitting the major points and whatnot. But anyway.
So that said, that kind of wraps us really well into a conversation about the show itself, about Celebration itself as an event. I was definitely around a lot of empty seats in the Mandalorian streaming room.
Yeah.
And even at episode 9, there were noticeably a lot of empty seats in the actual arena, which is freaking nuts to me. That the biggest event was littered with empty seats.
And so we found out why on Saturday morning. And that's because the dude that was, whoever was working the end of the line,
right,
literally cut people off. Even if you won the lottery and you had a QR code, like at start time, he turns you away. And like I said earlier, that for the Galaxy's Edge thing, you know, I rode my bike in at 6:30.
Right.
And there was all of like 12 people in line. I do have a picture of them. Doesn't matter. But we talked to a guy somewhere around 7:30-ish, 7:30, that was arriving staff member, and asked him whether or not there would be like an overflow line. And he was unsure, so he went and checked, came out and said, yes, there would be. And if seats were not filled, they would let other people in.
Right.
At start of show to fill all the seats, because that's the idea, is to butts in seats. Right.
So then
fill all seats.
Closer to 11 we return, and there's a different gentleman. He seemed to be the leader of the Wintrust security team, and he definitely told us that is not the case, that somebody misspoke, that they aren't allowing people in at all. Then he was kind of saying conflicting shit, basically, and I get that he's doing his job, and I harbor no ill will towards a man just trying to do his job, right? But, you know, we were like, well, like, there's gonna be empty seats. Like, wouldn't you want those filled?
And he said, no, that's...
Yeah, he was like, there's no way there's gonna be empty seats.
He totally denied that there was ever any empty
he said
seats.
Everybody that has a QR code is gonna show up. Everybody will be in there. And we're like, well, yesterday during episode 9, like, we made it in that room, and there were a bunch of empty seats still. And he goes, oh, no, like, are you talking about closer to the stage? Because we weren't meant to fill those. And I'm like, no, like, upper bowl next to us, even in the lower bowl, like, you could just see multiple empty seats, like, you know, like, a good 4 or 5 seats just like wide open and empty, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So then he keeps going. He's like, no, like it'll be filled. But then 11 o'clock rolls on the dot, and he starts turning away people with QR codes. So then my fucking thing...
Man, those people look pissed.
Well, my fucking thing is like, those are people with QR codes, which means there are fucking empty seats inside of that fucking arena right now, you know?
Absolutely.
So there are many problems with this, and I'm going to fucking say it point blank. ReedPop is shit.
Do you remember the guy that was right in front of us in line? It was like a pair of guys in front of us.
Yeah, I remember their faces, yeah.
Right. So one of them was talking about how he called ReedPop's fucking 1-800 helpline or whatever it is, and talked to them, asking whether or not there would be an overflow line. Like, he didn't show up. You know, he didn't ride his bike there at 6:30 in the morning. He made this smart decision and got online, found a number, called, and what they told him was, yes, there are overflow lines. If all seats aren't filled, then the overflow line will be permitted in to fill all seats in the arena.
Right.
And
that's what I thought I saw.
Itself.
Yeah. I had seen that verbiage somewhere online. And then, of course, when we were in that line, I could not find it ever again.
I feel like it was just this one guy that then
I don't know,
made
because
a decision and then like doubled down.
I went back for the Phantom Menace panel on Monday.
Same thing.
Greg was in. We had made it into the streaming room. We didn't win streaming room lottery, but there was an overflow that let into Phantom Menace, right? But then I was seeing on Reddit that, you know, at 10 o'clock, an hour before, that the arena was maybe 25% full. Somebody took a picture and it was empty, right? So then somebody wrote that they got in without a QR code, but somebody else said no, QR codes are still being checked. I was like, you know what, Greg, you stay here. I'll roll the dice. Let me run across and see what happens. If I can get in, then great. I'll text you. You come on in.
And so you literally ran out of the convention center across the street?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Nice.
I met back up with our European buddies who were also in line with us for the Disney Parks panel. And one of them already was talking to the same guy, and the same guy was like, no, man, like, QR codes only. So 11 o'clock rolls by, and somebody in Reddit is like, this theater is still, like, only 75-80% full.
So dumb.
Yeah, so it's... I don't understand how ReedPop keeps getting it so wrong. I will give them that I feel like I had a better experience here than I did in Orlando.
I had a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
So this was Celebration 5 that I've gone to.
Yeah.
Not Celebration
Your
5.
fifth one.
I did attend that one as well. But yes, this is the 5th one that I've been to. And they've all had their unique issues. Usually they are worked out the further into the event that it happens. I feel like this specific issue that we're talking about is something that should have been taken care of. Like, somebody should have been like, no, dude. Like, if there's open fucking seats, let people in, fill the fucking seats.
Right. And I've made this comparison many times. It's really weird that it was so open for lottery winners. In terms of, here's how it happens at San Diego Comic-Con for people who don't do conventions, right? And I understand this is like kind of a different world. So what San Diego does is that there is no lottery. It's full-blown wait in line, right? So Saturday is always the crazy one where people start lining up like Thursday evening sort of shit, right? Or even hell, Wednesday evening for Saturday, right?
Right.
So what Comic-Con will do is they will say, starting at, I'm just making a figure up, this could change from year to year, but like 10
Right, just say
10 p.m.
2 hours before.
No, hold up, bitch. Like, so
I jumped again. I'm on step number 3.
yeah, so 10 p.m. Friday evening, they will start handing out wristbands to people in line. Okay? if you get a wristband, that will guarantee that you get into Hall H if you show up before 8 a.m. for an 11 a.m. start time. Okay? That's not to say that they let people in at 8. You just got to be back in that line.
Yeah, you're still... your obligation is still to stand in line for at least fucking 3 hours. Right.
So
be it.
So be it. At 8 o'clock, there, or all night for the people who don't get wristbands. Here's what happens in actuality, right? You'll get a few people that go back to their hotel rooms and sleep it out, right? But
most people, there's just 2 queues. One queue of people that have wristbands, one queue of people that do not.
No. It's one queue that just continues on. There's just a point in this queue where the wristbands stop.
And then people just hope.
Right. Exactly.
Hope.
So you will find where that part of the queue where the wristbands stop, right? And the workers, if somebody returns with wristbands, they'll just insert them in front of these other people, right? That's what happens. Like, hey, you guys without wristbands, stay there. Start here. Don't move forward anymore. Stay here next to this tree.
That being said, here's what I think should happen with these lottery things in the future, should ReedPop decide to continue. Okay, you want to do a lottery? Okay. I don't like the system. I prefer to be in control of my own destiny as far as whether or not I'm going to get into one of these things. I prefer it to be, if I take the time and the energy to commit to being there, then that's up to me, not who knows. I don't know. Is it a computer program? Who knows what? But if there is a lottery system, okay, cool. Then say the event starts at 11.
Yeah.
Up till 9 o'clock.
Right.
QR code only. After that, free for all.
Stand by. Yeah, exactly. That's what I didn't understand about the system, because it was so weird. It definitely changed the energy of the episode 9 room.
Absolutely.
To me, like, I was still excited.
I mean, you and I talked about this when we got in there and we sat down, at 8:30.
It just, it trickled in, and it just felt so weird, rather than, that buzz and that hum of people excited who had been there all night.
Or even just that, mass flow of people, filling in and filling seats, because not only was there a lottery to get in, but then it was, sectionalized by seating area. So, we knew that we were upstairs in 228. That's where we went. So, for 228, I don't know, holds 200 people. So out of all 6,000 or 7,000 people that potentially could have been in line to get in, we're maybe in a mad rush for a 200 person section of that. So it was just super casual, and there was less dynamic energy built from the crowd because of the way that the arena was filled and the way that the queue worked and the lottery system worked and all of that.
Yeah. Now, I understand the argument that some people are like, well, I can't wait in line. That's not important to me, blah, blah, blah. And to me, personally...
Well, then go over to the fucking Star Wars live stage and fucking watch it there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's kind of where I'm at. I think there's something about the crazy dedication that some people will wait 36 hours in line for, right? I think that's part of it, the idea, it's I have to work, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I do too, but this is important to me, so I take the time off. I factor that in.
I tell you what, I learned at Celebration 3, the first Star Wars Celebration that I went to, in Indianapolis. Again, I think there I had Friday, Saturday tickets or Saturday, Sunday tickets or some shit like that. I don't remember. And we got there, we drove up, me and my buddy Kevin, drove up what would have been day 1 of the event, which I think was Thursday. Because Thursday was a preview night, so it was literally opening ceremonies were at 5 p.m. and then the show store was open for 3 hours, and that was it, right? well, it was that day that it was announced that George Lucas was going to be there. So, like, the following day, we spent all day in line for the fucking Celebration store, which is a complete other issue. I know you went through this this year. We'll have to talk about that later. But there was buzz like, oh, George Lucas is going to be here Saturday. George Lucas is going to be here Saturday. So we went back to our hotel and we were like, oh, we'll get up early. Like, we'll be smart. We'll get up early and go get in line. Like, that'll guarantee our seats. So we got up at like fucking 4:30. And then we had to like go to Walgreens, buy ponchos because it was fucking raining and shit. You know, we get there at like 6 o'clock for something that started at 10. Like, thinking that 4 hours was going to be early enough to get into this event. You know, at that point, the line was like 10 city blocks long, and there's stormtroopers directing traffic, and like that part of it was fucking awesome. You know, just like seeing literal troops of stormtroopers walking around, directing traffic, and like, you know, doing crowd control and stuff. That was like one of the coolest things that I have seen at a celebration before. But you know, me being a newbie to it was stupid and thought that 4 hours was enough to...
That you're going to beat everybody, like...
Right, that I was going to beat everybody and be, like, early in the line.
Right.
No, I was like 6,000 people deep.
Right.
Because I think however many the auditorium held, I was about 150 people deeper in the line than that.
Right.
And luckily, George Lucas did a second show.
Yes.
And then I think, honestly, like a third show.
Yeah.
So we did get into like the second one, which was cool. But,
so,
you know, I learned my lesson at that point. And after that, I'm like, whatever I want to do, you know, I'm giving it at least the night before, if not, you know,
the day before.
18 or 24 hours, you know?
Yeah. So, exactly. I think this was at least a decent attempt at a massive problem, right? But I think they just went about it in all sorts of the wrong way, because also the lottery system wasn't announced until a few weeks ago. So people had already made travel plans, such as yourself, such as myself, people who had traveled from Europe, from other countries, right? And then the lottery system happens the weekend before Celebration. So then essentially I am at the airport and I do not know the results of all the lotteries yet.
Right. You don't even know if you're getting into something that you really wanted to be a part of.
Right. So then...
And I say be a part of, not just attend, because these event panels, if you're there, you're a part of them.
Right, absolutely. So, yeah, that said, that's why this lottery system was so weird. I think if it was announced with the tickets back in June, but this was clearly an issue of somebody not planning or having the foresight to figure all of this out. And I get that panels aren't scheduled early on. I understand that. But all the same, if I were a European, like, it was one thing even to travel from California to Illinois, to Chicago, right? And I could make adjustments, and I had been to Chicago before, and I was staying with my buddy Greg. But yeah, if I was an international traveler and I didn't know the city, and this was my first time maybe even in the United States, and you want to do all this stuff, and then you get the news that you won nothing. You cannot attend any of these major panels.
Yeah, I met a guy in Uber, and he nailed like 3 out of 4 of them.
Right, exactly. But me,
he's from Chicago area.
Right. I got 1. I what I consider is 1. I won 1 out of 4.
You got 1.5.
Right. Yeah, I got streaming room, but really I got 1. Right. But that
I got 1.5, and in all reality, I should have only gotten 1.
Yeah, I will take the 1.5 over the people who got nothing. Right. But I feel for them. Like, that sucks. And especially for us to not know until the Tuesday and Wednesday prior to the fucking event. Like, come the
2 days.
fuck on.
And they said it would be 2 days, but it wasn't.
Right.
I got my email at 3:54 in the morning on Wednesday, the day before the fucking thing started.
I didn't get my fucking Hasbro email until 9:30 morning on Thursday, right?
I'm still waiting on mine, buddy.
Right. So, it's just, this whole thing there was a fucking mess. Then, the big mess that we gotta just jump back out, because so much has already been said that I cannot imagine that we're going to add to this at all, is the app was a piece of shit. It was
worthless.
Oh, like, it was definitely like a thing that somebody had noticed that we kept talking about an app on the website, and then like a week before they go, yeah, we had people developing that app, right? And whoever was in charge at ReedPop was like, oh shit, we promised an app? Oh, who's our app person? They probably put one person on it. The app keeps linking back to the main website, the mobile site on your phone, but because it's not linking to whatever web browser you have on your phone, it's like some shitty in-app browser that doesn't do shit. The show store didn't work at all. Eventually, the show store completely disappeared. I heard very unsubstantiated rumors that person was like fired partway through the show, and they just ignored the show store ever existed at all. Right? But then there were supposed to be panel reservations that never fucking worked, or they worked, but I didn't understand. The panel reservations were only supposed to open day of, but I was definitely making reservations for like the whole weekend, and because of that, surely everybody else was, and because of that, panel reservations basically disappeared immediately because they all filled up.
So. I think they worked for some people and they didn't work for others.
Exactly.
Like I heard people talking about how they, reserved like 6 panels a fucking day, and I was like, I was able to reserve 1 panel
right
for fucking the entire 5 days.
Yeah.
One
and the
was
other
available to me, and that was it.
Right. And the other stupid thing was, if you were in a group, there was no way to group our badges together. Greg got
for the panel reservations.
Yeah, Greg got into panels that I could not get pulled up on my phone, right? So then, like, what the fuck are we supposed to do, right? Like, I'm not gonna leave him. He's not gonna leave me. Like, we're in it together, right? Mm-hmm. Because I got into like the Anthony Daniels one, and he didn't. But he was like, oh, I'll go check out like Into the Archives maybe, and you can go to that. I'm like, no, man. Like, I'm not gonna do that. That's fucking shitty, right? So that the app, man, like there are no words to describe just how much depended on the app, according to ReedPop.
It's a CR app,
right?
As in it's crap,
yeah,
dude.
So it was just complete bullshit. Then the other major, what the fuck happened here was the show store. This happens every year.
It goes back and forth, man.
When I was there in Anaheim, 2015, when I was there in Orlando, 2017, Chicago, 2019, the show store is always a fucking clusterfuck.
So I think it was Star Wars Celebration 4, which would have been like the first one in Orlando, that they fucking figured it out. It was like the best the store's ever been. It was just kind of located in the middle of the expo floor, and it was just like super casual, and you could literally just kind of wander in and wander out.
Right. The problem here is
best it's ever been. Other than that, it's always been just fucked.
I think the convention has grown beyond what even ReedPop is expecting, which is fucking stupid because they know how many badges are being sold. What is dumb is that for any of the convention exclusives, something as basic as t-shirts, right? Like nothing crazy. I'm not talking about the 500 limited run Funko Pops or whatever. Just t-shirts.
That's on Funko Pop.
Right. But like t-shirts that aren't, say, limited run, that are like, oh, they're only available in the store, but we have like thousands of them, right? That said, it's only available in the show store, to which there is only one location, which is fucking stupid to me. Because why don't you have kiosks around. Like, I understand that there might be little lines at each kiosk, but at least dispersing the crowds around is a lot better than funneling everybody into one single store. And so here's what happened Thursday. Greg and I showed up at the convention center about 9:30. Like, not super early, but like we were only focused on the store.
It's like 2.5 hours early. It didn't even open until noon, right? Noon or 1.
So 1 o'clock is when the exhibit floor opened.
So 3.5
Right.
hours.
1 is when the exhibit floor opened. They started letting VIP in at about 11 or so to go into the store. So I think the store itself opened at 11, or I don't know if it was the store or if it was supposed to be the app store, whatever. They started letting some people in at 11. So then our general line started moving a little bit around that time, and we moved maybe 20 feet. And then we were there for another, like, 2 hours. Like, not, and then we moved maybe 10 feet. Then we were there for another, like,
They
hour.
might as well have had a lottery for whether or not you would have been able to buy a fucking
Oh,
t-shirt.
completely. Yeah. So, long story short is that Greg and I were there about a solid 7 to 8 hours before we entered the store. Then it
Right.
was about another hour just to check out. Now, I will say, once you got in, the process, the logistics of how they laid everything out made sense. There were 100% a shit ton more registers than I've ever seen at any previous, the 2 previous celebrations I had been to. They had registers along 2 separate walls. And there was one line that fed into different sections of registers, right? So that was great. The rumor that I had seen, or the word that I had heard that we were receiving from Twitter while waiting in line, was that people that made it into the store were waiting in line to check out, but something had gone wrong with the registers.
Right.
And again...
Yeah, their iPads fucking crashed. Or
Right.
somebody forgot the fucking Wi-Fi password.
The
or some
Wi-Fi
shit.
went down. And again, this is across all registers, so it went down for the entire system.
Right, for
this
all
is
15
again
of them.
why this is again why I do not understand why this is centralized to one location, because when shit goes down, there is no alternative. Like, why not have 2 separate celebration stores on different ends of the convention hall?
I mean, you and I talked about it, and like, just for t-shirts and shit,
Right.
you could have fucking kiosks.
Everywhere.
Like at the ballpark, or the
Concerts,
hockey
where you go to
arena, or fucking
concerts.
whatever, right.
Yeah.
Concerts? Yeah.
So, yeah,
you
like,
got 3, 4, 5 spots, like,
Right.
fuck, man. You go up, you get a t-shirt. Oh, do you have glasses? No, but like, 2
I know
halls
the
over,
one. Yeah, exactly.
you know,
the one down the
go
hall has
over
it.
by the Twin Sun stage, like,
Right.
they got the pint glasses over there.
Right. Exactly. Or, like, that's part of the thing, too. It's like, oh, like, there's a different thing at this kiosk. Like, I wonder what's here. Like, it'll kind of keep people looking, right? But, yeah, for
Right.
it
I'm
to
like,
be a 9
where are the
hour...
porgs? Where are the
Right.
porgs, you know?
Yeah, but for it to be a 9-hour experience start to finish just to buy some fucking t-shirts...
It's stupid.
Right. Like, it was just a fucking clusterfuck. Like, I don't...
That's what international travelers should be bitching about. Like, not whether or not they're going to get into the fucking Mandalorian panel.
Yeah,
is
but if
whether
they're
or not they
wasting
can
a whole
get their-
fucking day, like, just to
wasting
get some
an
stuff.
entire day just to get a fucking
Right.
some
And
exclusive stuff.
I will say I had a fairly negative experience with the cashier that I experienced. And this is a personal experience. I'm not saying this is widespread or whatever, but number one, it was a mini iPad, and they had like the world's tiniest scanner. So the lady was having trouble, like the scanner wasn't reading the shirts, right?
Because she couldn't see the barcode
And
to scan the barcode.
It literally seemed like for my little section that I was there for like a solid like at least 45 minutes, just slowly moving up, watching people at the cash registers having issues. I swear to God, it looked like none of these people had ever worked fucking retail in their fucking lives, right? Like, there were 2 people per registers, 1 person scanning, 1 person packing, and people were just like lost, like how does any of this fucking shit work, right? Like, Like, you scan the shit, put it in the fucking bag. Like, but, like, again, my cashier, was having all sorts of fucking issue. And she tapped a nerve that is a huge pet peeve of mine, which is, as somebody who, you and I have talked a lot, I repeat myself a lot. That's just part of the thing. But
it happens.
If you ask me a question and you confirm that you got that information, but then you ask me again, like, that's grounds for me to bitch slap you, right?
So, what is grounds for you to bitch slap me?
It's the full Austin Powers thing, where if you ask me the same fucking question 3 fucking times, it's so fucking annoying. So this is exactly what happened at the store. Greg and I show up to the register together, and the first guy was like, one at a time, and I'm like, we are together. Like, he's holding my stuff, I'm holding his stuff. We're paying all of this together just because Greg and I had been there too fucking long, and we're just like, let's just ease this, let's make this process easier for everybody, right? So he shows up first, I'm right behind him. He drops like a couple of shirts and a mug on the counter in front of the lady. I drop the rest of my shirts, a fucking Gorg stuffed animal, an umbrella, right? And the pint glasses. And she starts scanning his stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, we're all together. Because she's like, oh, are you with him? And I'm like, yeah, I'm with him. Like, this is all together. So then...
Wait, so everything?
That's literally what fucking happened, and it killed. So she scanned what he had put down and goes, the total is, and then Greg and I go, oh no, all of this is together.
Okay, wait. Like, both of your things? All of your things? His stuff and your stuff?
She literally says that, and I go, yeah, everything here that on the counter. So everything from what you just scanned here up to this umbrella. The umbrella was at the end, right?
Okay. So sir, you got the umbrella also? But not anything in between.
Right. Clearly. So then the second lady puts her hands on the other pile of shirts that I set down and goes, so you're getting these too? And I go, yeah.
You're getting these and the umbrella.
Yeah, I fucking snapped at that point. You know, like, not, like, I didn't go fucking Jerry Maguire or anything, but I was just like, yeah, everything on the counter. Everything from that to here. Everything. This is all one order. All together.
You should have gone Jerry Maguire. That would have been hilarious.
I was like, after 9 fucking hours of that shit, I'm like, do you want me to buy this or not? Like, that's why I don't fucking understand.
It's and like, you know that there was people, like 50 people behind you,
right,
that didn't get in.
Oh, surely, yeah.
Like another 25, 40, 50 people behind you.
Yeah.
Everyone after that was fucked.
Right. Like, when we checked out, it was 6 o'clock in the evening.
Right. You know, and the store probably closed at 7 or 8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock. The exhibit floor closed at 8 that evening. Right? Yep. So that's why I don't, like, lady, scan this shit. Hurry this up.
It's terrible.
Do you see this line behind me?
It's not good.
Like, I don't have to deal with it, but you do. But I'm trying to help everybody out here, you know? So, that whole, I don't, like, seriously, it's like, I'm very concerned about, that's right. Let's talk about the big announcement at the closing ceremony.
Let's move on to closing ceremonies here.
Yeah, closing ceremony.
We're going to wrap this one up.
Yeah, the big announcement is Star Wars Celebration will return 2020 Anaheim. So of course am very excited for that. That is down the street. I have seen very many funny responses online saying things like, great, that's down the street, but guess what? I'm not going to go to that one if ReedPop's involved. And I will go, but I will tell you that ReedPop is likely going to be involved, and I'm not.
It is.
I'm not looking forward to it, honestly. Like, I will be so happy the day it starts, right? Like, same thing. Leading up to Chicago, I was with the clusterfuck of the lottery, the clusterfuck of the app. I think I told you already that the anxiety that I had in Orlando during the event, and how shittily that was run, I had thanks to the lottery system leading up to Chicago, right? Mm-hmm. I had it throughout Chicago. And it will be very nice that Star Wars Celebration 2020 is down the street from me. right?
Yeah.
All the same, that anxiety of just like, Jesus Christ, ReedPop, like, fucking, can you do this? Can you actually do this? Can I trust you to do this?
Well, hopefully they take what they did this year and they improve it over the next year.
But
I don't have faith that is what is going to happen.
But going from Orlando to Chicago, they clearly fucking didn't learn jack shit. Like, I don't understand how they keep making basic fucking mistakes on how to run a convention. And of course, if you like visit official ReedPop things, because they also do C2E2 in Chicago and they do New York Comic Con, they run other shit. But I just don't know why suddenly with Star Wars Celebration they're like, well, maybe we'll run this completely differently and without any logic in it, and we'll just, everybody can go to this one thing. Like, no, like,
I love your doofy white guy voice.
It's hilarious. That's my doofy white guy voice. Yeah, it's like a light Tim Gunn essentially. But yeah, so I'm concerned, to say the least, about ReedPop continuing to hold this event and making adjustments that are very well intended, but just the thought process is completely fucking missing from how people act in a real world situation, you know. So like this Star Wars Celebration Chicago 2019 was nowhere near as bad as Orlando. The security process, I never had an issue with security. I never had an issue waiting for security the way we did in Orlando. We waited like 3 solid hours sometimes just to get through security on its own. The smaller panels
process was definitely streamlined.
Yes. The smaller panels that I was able to get into, they were very entertaining. They were really well run. There were still weird technical issues where microphones would just start cutting out. I attended a Doug Chang panel where he was drawing live on an iPad. So like I got to see like a Doug Chang original being created in front of my eyes. But every now and then a fucking projector would just go down and the AV guy is just sitting in the corner going, whatever. like just kept sitting there, and his mic would keep cutting out and Doug Chang could hear it. Nope, nobody wants to fucking help Doug Chang run his fucking panel. Like, what the fuck, guys? You know, so it's little shit like that. But, you know, for all the complaints I have, I 100% want to make sure that it is very clear that I am directing them completely towards ReedPop. Because that said, I still got a post-convention depression on Tuesday as I was headed back at the airport back to California, because the reason I keep coming back, and the reason with all of that bullshit that Star Wars Celebration remains my favorite convention, is the fans are so special at Star Wars Celebration.
It is amazing.
That is a feeling that Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, does not quite capture at all. D23 comes close to it, but even then, because it's Star Wars and it's very focused, right?
Yeah, I was going to say it's so localized as far as interest that it's just like, I mean, if you love Star Wars, you'll love Celebration.
Right. And
even with all the hiccups and whatever.
Completely. And I think, seeing the cosplayers get into it, seeing the families is always like super adorable, right? Seeing little children that enjoy it, it brings me back to myself being that age and getting introduced to movies. And
I saw people in diapers, and I saw people with walkers.
Right. Absolutely.
And every age in between, and not just like casual attendees, but cosplayers as well.
Oh yeah, like
young and old.
Yep. Cosplayers,
you know, it's just
all
great.
Across.
And you can, I mean, pretty much Saturday I was like, there was a couple things I wanted to do. Hit the expo floor, buy my daughters a couple of things, right? And people watch, hang out. Definitely. Eat a hot dog, you know.
Yes.
Like, those were my goals, and everything else on Saturday was just a bonus.
Yes, yeah.
So
that said, I'm glad we're leaving it on that positive note. I And
for sure.
Looking forward to Anaheim 2020. I am going to be very curious on when they pick. I hope it's around April again. I really do like that April timeline.
Oh, of course you do. It's your
It's my birthday, yeah.
Happy birthday, Lorenzo.
Indeed, thank you. So, I will be also very curious to how that affects the crowds at Disneyland, considering Galaxy's Edge will be open by then.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so, Kevin.
Super heavy.
Right, yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you get the rabid Star Wars fans and you have them across the street from Disneyland. I will say I don't recall for 2015 there being anything super out of the ordinary when we were visiting.
But there was not a Star Wars convention and a Star Wars land.
That's true.
That's the difference.
That is very true.
So,
like a brand new Star Wars land especially. But yeah, we definitely did, because, 4 years ago, it was around my birthday as well. So yeah, we definitely did a day where it was my birthday. We did the convention, and then we just immediately walked across the street and celebrated the rest of my birthday at a bar in Disneyland. So
nice.
So yeah,
we got to wrap this one up though, Lorenzo.
Indeed, yeah. So that's kind of our mega recap on Star Wars Celebration.
Here's my one-word recap, going back to Clone Wars and Resistance and the thing we do on those shows, and I give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up. Or yeah.
Cool.
Thumbs up. One sentence review is ReedPop sucks fucking balls. So
there you go.
So that said, if you liked any of this, this is on YouTube. Audio goes to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, all those good places. So if you liked it, please subscribe, review us, let us know what you think. As always, we like to give a shout out to Lindsay at Strange Fantasy Music. She put together the music at the beginning and end of every episode of this podcast. And we always like to give a shout out to Kevin Warren. He put together the cover art that appears on the many feeds. That said, until next time, I've been Lorenzo Fon, sitting here with
Kevin Horde.
These aren't the nerds you're looking for.
Bye-bye.